Well, that's not good, is it? Today, I'm sitting in my office because I have some serious problems with the Mini. I didn't do as much filming as I was planning on doing for this, mostly because I didn't really know what the problem was and how to resolve it. So I've got some footage and some pictures. So I'm going to go through what I've done and obviously what the problem was. So let's get on with it. This was the problem: loose bolts. These bolts are quite important because it holds the flywheel together. So it took quite a bit of diagnosing to work out the issue. When I turn the engine over, you can hear a loud worrying knocking noise. At first I thought some major crank issue had happened. I also did a test turning the engine over with no spark plugs in. The noise wasn't there then, which confused me for a while. I did manage to get some video footage from the security camera in the garage, so you can see some of the work that I did. Other possible thoughts was it might have been the idle gear bearings, because that could cause this kind of issue. I did also check the pistons of the bore scope camera just to make sure there was no problems in there or with the valves, and everything seemed okay in there. I decided to go down the route of the idle gear and took the bell housing off so I could get better access to the flywheel. And after inspecting this, I noticed there was a little play on the flywheel. I've never done any work on a flywheel, but it didn't seem like it should do that. So then that led to many other possibilities of issues. After doing some research, it looked like it could be anything from a loose flywheel to a broken crank. At this point, I must admit I was fearing the worst. So I managed to remove the flywheel, and after removing it, I took it to my bench to inspect what could be wrong. I removed the pressure plate and then noticed the boss plate had some nuts that were quite loose. So I removed all these bolts to see if there was any damage underneath. Luckily no damage had happened. I was quite lucky because when I first heard the noise I wasn't very far from home. I can only guess when the clutch was last replaced it wasn't tightened up properly, and it also looked like no Loctite was used on these bolts. So I applied some Loctite to the bolts and torqued them back up, reassembled the rest of the flywheel. After putting everything back together, I'm pleased to say it seems it's back to normal. I'm sorry for the lack of decent video footage. This wasn't an expected video. I was meant to be sorting out the turbo, but there's been some issues with that and it's throwing a lot of oil down the exhaust, so that'll be revisited in the future. Speaking of exhaust, I also have a new twin centre exit DTM exhaust. This was also an unexpected change that resulted in my old system coming loose and getting quite damaged. I hope you've enjoyed this quick update and I have some more interesting videos coming soon.